Okay. Day has been such a different day of like peace to emotionality a little bit. Just, I think, seeing things in this very earthy way. Like, I have been prone to like big ideas and experiences and wanting to like overhaul my life or shine in my purpose or whatever. And it's really given away to this very simple enjoyment of life, learning, loving my friends, loving my family, allowing to see that how much everyone loves me and receiving that too. And really, even when I'm thinking that I know or I'm perceiving something with other people's energy, just allowing it to be. Whoa, the siren. And on the starborn underneath, I'll take that too. Okay. It just feels like there's this part of us that feels like, everyone's like, oh, I don't know what it is. It's like this, your time to shine or whatever. And I think generally, now I feel so neutral to that. I don't know if other people do. It's just like I've shined many times and I've also fallen into complete disarray. And, fallen for like, people's excitement, and then I get excited and really, I've realized now that's just like, ooh, what is that? That it's not long term. It doesn't, the threshold. Okay. It's not a long-term plan. It's kind of like, I'll choose this for now because this will make do. And it'll get me to the next stage or whatever. And it's like, that simply isn't working anymore. And not only that, like, there is step by step, you have to create work. You have to obviously have money and look after yourself. And I mean, sometimes my spirituality had like its own little ego that had to die too, with like things that just were not based in reality. And I think in the last 3 years, those have all fallen off of me. And it was kind of like when your life falls apart, which mine did at some point through illness, and you go into your spiritual journey. Sometimes it goes like sideways, right? And then you kind of, some of your belief systems get a little out of this reality. And this today felt like this coming, well, it has for many months, this coming home to just reality, like of the seasons of life and the neutrality of just watching life and enjoying it in its simplest form. And taking pure pleasure in not rushing, not having to accomplish, not being driven by desire or that something's going to be better in the future. And just understanding and sitting with all the times that you ran off on these different roads that maybe didn't lead you where you wanted, or even belief systems. Whoops, the vow. And I think we're going into a time now, well, I feel I'm going into a time, maybe the collective is too, because you see like our whole, I think social media and all like learning to be better and a million ways to heal yourself. I remember saying years ago, like when I was ill and I was trying to get better, like, man, it takes 8 hours a day to do all the things that I need to do in order to be healthy. How do I actually live life now? And the truth is that that's no way to live. And I think that it seems to me that this balance that's coming in now between our, like, spirituality to me should be in the physical, and that balance between not taking pride or showing off for what you've achieved physically, which I've had, and then not taking pride in the spiritual and just finding that nice flow between an enjoyment of life. Carols. Okay. So I know the siren energy. I and the starborn, for some reason, I feel like it's grounding in this. How does it feel? It's almost like we all shine as our own individual lights, and allowing ourselves to just be who we are authentically. Wow, I'm feeling all this emotion. It's not like, I don't know how to explain it. It just feels grounded in reality. Like, and that threshold between earth and spiritual, and committing to this long-term plan, long-term love of life. And this is synchronicity. So we're doing this because there's a synchronicity, there's a balance somehow between these. The Starborn. I just want to read that because I haven't pulled that one ever. It's never come out before for me. I want to see how it relates. Starborn. The divine child, the star child, the destined. The starborn naturally feels a sense of destination and purpose, aiming itself towards a future that is beyond the mundane. That is funny because today I was feeling exactly the opposite, that the joy was in the mundane. So there's, maybe that's the balance. Holding the vision for something outside of the mundane, but finding complete pleasure and joy and accomplishment, I guess, in just your life. So this feels like bringing it home, and that you're the home. Okay, what's the siren and the starborn? And it kind of came today, this whole thing of, you know, we've been making, like, our success has been on this getting better, showing what a great life looks like, and all these kind of things, like on social media, and everyone's telling their opinion lately, everybody. And broken heart popped out. And the thing is it's just everyone's opinion, and I love listening to it, and sometimes you'll get some wisdom from it, but we're here to play with our own life. And it's not really, there's so many different ways to live, and really, as long as you're respecting each other, you're allowed to live them. King of Cups. Okay, what came out? Small. This looks like a really small start into a balance. What am I seeing? This feels like going from a page to a king very quickly in your life. Like feeling like you don't know what you're doing. This tiny little desire. And then all of a sudden you're mastering it, like very, very quickly. It's just, what's this threshold? So today I'm going to be really aware of that, because there feels like this real, today, like I'm so balanced, so grounded in who I am. And then, you know, like really watching like what I listen to, and how that makes me feel compared to just sitting in nature or going for a walk, or, you know, like being present. Ooh, Two of Cups. Threshold. That feels like that balancing energy again. It's almost like this instantaneously maturing into this balanced energy. And the broken heart to me feels like, because sometimes, you know what? It is fun to feel so excited and so passionate about things. I'm just saying, walking away from that popped out. It feels fun. It feels like, oh, these people are so excited. They're so passionate about what they do and who they are. And yet, a lot of times it's like more of a facade, right? It's not a sustainable energy. You can't have that energy all the time, but you can have a neutral, balanced energy all the time and just be allowing life to happen and enjoying it. And I think that's something, or I feel today, like looking for that maturity, like, hey, do I have to run down that road of thought pattern? Do I have to conspiracies or excitement in people's lives or their drama? Do I have to do that? Or I can just stay in peace and just watch it and go, well, it doesn't really affect me. And, you know, not that, I mean, pray for things, that if you feel like there's things going on in the world, obviously, do not be in denial. But I think there's this settling in, because we realize that, you know, balance, even in the outer world, is people, meditation. This is the commitment to self. This is the commitment to a well-balanced life. And I've sat with this a lot, and I was like, you know, with the world. And I was like, I wonder if people, instead of chasing after so much, physically, spiritually, healing, experiencing everything, going to that line, pushing yourself further, and I've done that. If we just stepped back and allowed balance to happen, would we all start to just vibrate at that balance? Like, would we have to have such highs and lows? Would we have to have extreme poverty and extreme wealth if we all were just in life, enjoying it and doing our part? The world. And this is the synchronicity and moving forward. This feels like a synchronicity of self, to be honest. It's like really settling in. It's funny because this is saying, like, against the holding forward to something bigger, which I agree in a lot of ways. But instead of chasing after things, instead of getting all enticed into the emotion of it, really looking at things like from a very base, neutral part. But I think one of the things that you have to know is, where are you going? Like, where are you going? Like, for me, it's peace and connectiveness and long-term stability, because I've done all the others, so now it's just time for that. And learning, lifelong learning, and playing, and art. And I think there's something to knowing where you're going as far as how you want to feel in your life, and allowing it. And I'm not saying you're not going to hit difficult times. We all do. I mean, just the fact that people die and we mourn them, or accidents happen, or sickness, or whatever. The wheel. We have enough in life, even if we have enough to go through. We don't have to make it harder. You know, we have to, I think that thing, we don't have to, but honestly, it's so much more enjoyable. Yeah, that's a confusion. 5 of Swords, fighting that thing, just to be an ordinary person. Your original ordinary person, just walking life, loving it, enjoying your work, enjoying your family. There's some really deep spiritual feeling that comes from that. For me, anyways, like when I picture someone solid like that, that's just like still loving life, still going through, but not having to prove anything. Just centered in self. I don't know why. Wow, all of this is really... It felt like it was stuck in my throat this morning. I was like, it's hard to move forward when you don't know where you're going. So you have to have that understanding of the feeling. But what's even harder for me is when I feel the feeling every day, like I'm completely content and peaceful. And yet, you have to, there's stuff that you have to do during the day and hold that feeling, because I think a lot of us are used to feeling some kind of survival instinct for moving forward, right? Or some kind of fear, or some kind of like, I want to accomplish this, some kind of passion, some kind of high, some kind of low. And it's kind of like the carrot being in front of you, something you want or something you're running from. But to be in complete peace and still choose steps, I find that, after coming out of like a survival instinct or a running towards like experience kind of thing, it's hard to understand that you just are willing yourself forward out of peace and neutral. It's not like, oh, I feel this so intensely, so I'm going towards it. Or I'm scared to death, I'm going to be broke and poor, so I'm going towards this. Or, it's more of, wow, it's just life and this is what I have to do, so I'm doing it. And I'm enjoying doing it. King of Pentacles, that feels like that energy. Solid. I'm solid. I'm solid. Mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, solid. Structured, solid. And happy in that. Really deriving an intense amount of joy just with the mundane of life. And yet always being open that, like things happen that are magical every day, and seeing them and enjoying them. You're not closed off to that. It's just you're no longer running from a phantom or running to a payoff. It's like the lottery. It's like gambling. It's like all those energies, partying, whatever. It just, this energy is just like, well, I don't really need anything. I'm really happy and content. But if something shows up, or I decide all of a sudden I have a desire, I will work for that and go after that. It's just such a different energy that I'm feeling today. And I think this energy, I felt it a lot in the last 3 years, but I actually felt like part of me was dying off, like a real ego death, because of that survival instinct was even locked in my spirituality. So it was like, it was still based in something that wasn't neutral and true. And it took a long time to get through that. And I'm really thankful for the experiences, the people in my life who brought attention to that, unknowingly or knowingly, and helped to heal that. And when you just ease into life, at first, if you're used to the other, it's hard. This is a new start, new passion. And it can be love. I don't want to fall away from love, because, I do think that's imperative in our life, is to have true loving relationships. Oh, that we're ourselves. Oh, this feels like no more fighting, no more waiting. Like you're not waiting for something else. You're literally, no matter what situation you're in. I heard someone say something the other day, because if you had a high in your life, or lots of highs, and you had, a lot of money, or you had a really sustainable career, you had family, you had kids, you've done a lot of things. And then when you lose it, there takes a while, not lose it, but it changes in your finances. You see everything from that thing. So you're like, oh my God, if I don't have this and this and this, I'm a failure. And instead, what I've been understanding, and I heard someone say that the other day, they're like, if your credit ratings, I don't know what she said, I think it was like 650 or higher, and you had $5,000 in the bank or whatever, that you're doing great. And I was like, and no debt or something. Anyways, and I was laughing because in my life, that would have, because of where I've been, not from where I came from, but where I rose to, that would have been not enough. And so then you go into a place where you go through and you lose a lot of things in your life, and you go into lack because you're used to what you used to have. And then all of a sudden I thought, well, I'm not really looking at that correctly because I'm actually in a very good place. And it was just my mindset because of how I was looking at things. So this is walking away from, wow, it feels, this is a weird message. And I don't, this is for me. I don't know if anyone else would get this message, but this is contentment. It's walking away from being discontent when, like, literally your life is pretty damn good. And really not having to be like manifesting like huge things. Like, we don't need millions of dollars. Like, let's be honest, we don't. We need to make a living. What do they say? Something like, and it's probably not the same now, but maybe it's 30 to 70,000 people are happy. And I was like, it's probably not now because things have got more. And I'm statistically probably not correct on that. So look it up. But there's this sense of not having to manifest big dreams in the same way. Just enjoying what you do, enjoying your life, enjoying your relationships, being present. Because you know what? Every moment you have with people, you may never get back. You know, the last time, go into your past, the last time you saw some people, you know, that's the last moment you ever had with them. You know, especially when people pass away, there's moments that you're like, wow, that was my last thing I ever got to say to them. And if we lived life like that and realizing that today is the day and still keeping focus on the future, you know, it's like, there is tangible steps that we have to do. And I have missed those a lot, I'm going to tell you. And that's some of the problems that I've had in this life, is that I only had like a go and stop. Like, I didn't have a medium. And so it's learning how to balance that. And it actually balances your dopamine, because when you're not having to run, what is that? Run. I totally lost that thought. The highs and lows. It's almost, it reminds me of, I had a friend's son who had a drug addiction, and he was talking about when you come off a hard drug, that for a year, you know, you don't have that feeling. Like, you can't connect it. Your brain doesn't fire. You don't have that love of life. And I went through that. I didn't do drugs, but that when I came off the roller coaster of the high and low, I had that for a good year. I felt no pleasure in anything, but it was like my brain resetting to neutral. And from that point, it feels so good. And the other thing is that I realized in this life, like, there's so many people talking about things that you can do to have a better life. But we literally have the technology now that if you're having trouble with like your brain or mental illness, you can get a scan and they can help you to know what's going on. And I also, with like Viome, I went and I did my blood, stool, saliva. It can tell you exactly what's going on in your life, in your body, in your life, I guess it is, in your body. And you can do exactly what you have to do. We don't have to guess anymore, I guess is what I'm saying. We actually have the right tests. We have the right things to do. We have the options. And yeah, some of them cost money. But in life, like, that is part of this whole thing, is you will spend the money if you want to be healthy. And when you get to that balanced position, it's not so scary because you're thinking clearly. You've done the work to get to that point. And I do feel like sticking away from any Like, people will say, you know, this is good for you, or you should do this. But you can actually test that now and see if it is good. And, you know, there's a lot of things I was wrong on it with my body. When I got my test back, I was like, I didn't know that. And so it really put me in alignment to that. Now that we can test, we can check. So that's something that I feel with that, is just this very balanced approach in the tangible. So if you believe something spiritually, it has to reproduce in the tangible. It really does. You don't have to tell people who you are. Your life shows who you are. And when I looked back and I saw some of the crap in my life, I was like, well, my life speaks for itself on both good and bad. And then I was like, I think I would like neutral. And that changed it. So this is death and rebirth of what you thought stability was, and moving away from how you had your life. It really is. It's rebuilding the world again. It's rebuilding on a whole different foundation. And it's really, honestly, a lot of it is beliefs that we were taught of what success looks like, what living life looks like. And it has to be individual to each person. Like, I mean, I don't care if anyone does this. I'm doing this for myself, but it's fun to me. And if I set to do it, then I'm more apt to do it, because it's just like, okay, well, I have to do this today. It's like a task, but I love doing it. And now it shows me exactly. It's like, it's this very balanced approach. And I think the heartbreak in my life, I think I moved away from things I actually love to do, but didn't know it because I was out of alignment, right? And I also kept finding myself in groups that really weren't, they were great people, all great people, but just not loving the same things I love. I'm pretty simple, actually. I'm pretty simple in my, like, oh, the devil. Okay, what about this devil? What about this devil? What about this devil? The Hierophant. Okay. Feels like the raven's squawking at the devil. Okay. And death again. This feels, oh my God, it feels like falling for the get rich schemes. Like, it's like the quick fix. Falling for the quick fix. Like believing in the fight and how hard life is, and like this struggle, this drama, but it's Pinocchio going to the fair, getting conned. That's what it feels like. It's a death and rebirth of this. It's like, but it's not just from outside of you, it's inside you. If you're looking for a quick fix, we have the Two of Cups again. If you're looking for a quick fix in life, or if you're looking, like, you rush things because you want them to fit, but then, or you want to complete something, a lot of times there's something underneath that, because life is really just about falling into it more and allowing it to happen, even with relationships. You know, so many times you're like, well, you know, I want this, I want, you know, or whatever. But I found a lot of times just sitting back and allowing it is the best way, because first of all, you can't force things. You just can't force anything. And I've tried to do that before out of my own fear or insecurity. And you really end up blowing things up that maybe didn't have to be blown up. Or maybe you walk away from something that you really loved in the first place. And the other thing that I got yesterday, which I think was really good, is that, and this sounds terrible to say, and people are probably going to be like, oh, but it's this thing of we actually are replaceable, not in the essence of who we are, but if you think about how long people mourn for people when they die, it's not a long time, unless it's your kids or your parents. But deeply, deeply, partner, sorry, partner too, but deeply, people will find other people if you don't want to do it, and they will be just as good in different ways. And I think the thing is that I know for in my life, you think, I always thought, you had a soulmate or whatever, um, you had a gift and a purpose. But I mean, there's many things that people can do, and we can all do it pretty well, actually. And there's lots of great partners out there, um, billions actually. And mostly it's about commitment. It's really about commitment. If you're committed to your kids, to keep working it through, even when you screw up and you keep coming to them, your parents, your friends, if you keep being authentic and committed, anything will work out long term. Anything. It's the lack of commitment, really, that I think causes that problem. And a lot of times we don't commit because it's not something we really want. And then we, second guess ourselves, but that's okay. Like it's teaching us. It's teaching us. But I got that yesterday. It was like, you know what? We all move on. We all move on. We find new partners. We make that work. And yeah, of course, there's people that touch us in our lives. But there's so many good people. And I think like for my exes, for sure, I always say that I'm so happy for them to find people that really jive with them and who they are, and give them the life that they want, right? Because honestly, you would never lose that relationship if you were both committed to each other and thought the person was the be all end all. And that is part of commitment, right? And trusting that you know what is good for you. But I think, wow, this is kind of a confusing message. I'm going to listen to it and see it. It's for me. I'm understanding it. Oh, okay. I love how this is on the siren. Fame is a spiritual drug. It is often a byproduct of our artistic work, but like nuclear waste, it can be a very dangerous byproduct. I think that is that whole thing of sitting in neutrality and the mundaneness of life. Things can come to us, but when our stability and our rootedness and our love is in reality, in the tangible, in the day-to-day, in just life, if it comes to us, it doesn't shake us like that. We know it's not the be-all end-all. We know that, we don't throw our whole life overboard because of one thing. Creativity is a spiritual practice. Didn't we just get this? It is not something that can be perfected, finished, and set aside. Oh, I love that. Because I was realizing before I even did this reading for myself that there was a lot of times I just wanted to complete. And I felt that even in life, like there's sometimes like, it's like, oh, it's, I can't believe I'm saying this, but you know how like I would get so excited about what was coming, like at Christmas or anything, that it would give me anxiety, believe it or not, about having good things come. And there was this like, I had that even in life, being surprised by death. Like I felt like, because I had a lot of things happen in my life, I was like, well, at any moment, I don't like that feeling. So I was like, it was just such a weird thing. I realized I was running towards the end faster than I had to because I couldn't sit with just allowing, life to play out, allowing to have a long-term relationship, allowing, your kids to love you and not love you, and all of what relationship is, allowing, relationships to grow into something that were really good. It's like I wanted to rush the process of everything so I could say it's done and complete and this is how it is. And that has been a great lesson in my life, and probably a reason why like I blew things up faster than they had to be, because I wanted to complete tasks. And it's a funny thing to say. I don't know if anyone's going to listen to this at all, because I mean, I'm really just doing it for me. But if you hear that, it's like, don't rush. Don't just keep filling your life with things that you don't want. Really choose wisely. Like in this last 3 years, I have chosen things so wisely, and I am so happy with that. And I'm so happy with um, the security, stability, um, knowingness that comes from that I can let go and say, I can trust these things to go for the rest of my life. And I don't have to complete them. They're just ongoing, and I love them that way, and sit with life doing that. Oh God, I'm so thankful for this. This is a really, it's a really good message of, well, it's like not rushing the seed to grow into a plant. Thank you so much. I'm so excited for today. Thank you.